this meeting of Chalfont Borough Council to order. Let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance. If everybody is ready, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, people. Dawn, would you call the roll, please?
Sure. Brian Wallace.
Here.
Tracy Bowen.
Here.
Jeff Coddington.
Present.
Don Engel.
Here.
Mark Glidden.
Here.
Marilyn Jacobson.
Here.
Michael Kelly.
Here.
Mitchell Meyerson.
Here.
Gia. Here. Sean.
Here.
Mike McGinnis.
Here.
Pat DeGangi. Rich O'Brien. Captain Milligan.
Present.
Thank you, Dawn. An announcement: this meeting is being recorded as well as broadcast via YouTube. I am not aware of any changes, additions, or deletions to the agenda. Is anybody else?
I am.
Yes.
Mike Kelly was kind enough to let me know the exact time that he entered the meeting last month. So I'd like to just add that, note that time in the minutes.
Please do. I can take my Post-it note off of the minutes because I was going to ask that. Great.
And then I also received an email. Sorry. I also received an email from Mr. Flanagan, Kevin Flanagan, and this is his email. I was reviewing the council minutes and packet and noted an omission regarding my spot on the zoning hearing board. On page 7 of the packet, which is page 4 of the council minutes, monthly reports, action item 3, article B, it states that Mike McNally and Mike Beebe were reappointed to the zoning hearing board. I was reappointed to another term.
Okay. I think we'll just plan on, hopefully, if somebody makes a motion to dispense with the reading of the minutes, which will happen in a little bit, I would ask they remember to suggest these 2 changes. One, the time Mike Kelly entered the last meeting, and also when Mr. Flanagan was reappointed to the zoning hearing board, correct?
Yes, but I don't know that we formally actually did reappoint him. I would have to go back and look and see if his name was on that. I mean, I just didn't have time to research it.
Maybe we can circle back to that item here later in the meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mike McGinnis, is there any problem if it's okay to ask this question now? Well, it would be in addition. Is there any problem to add an action item to confirm Kevin Flanagan to the zoning hearing board during this meeting, just to make it clean and complete?
No, if that's council's preference for handling it, then there's no issue with adding that as an agenda item.
Sean, I tried to do a log me in to get in to see the council, like the terms for everyone, and I was not successful. I couldn't do that tonight. So, because I would just feel better looking at that before we did anything. If maybe since you're in the office, if you could take a minute. Okay. Thanks, Sean.
All right. Well, since I'm pretty sure that we're not going to get into any legal trouble, let me just announce there may be a possible addition based on what we just heard in researching it, that there might be an action item to reappoint Kevin Flanagan to the zoning hearing board if it wasn't already done, kind of thing.
Right,
So
we have
we'll
a contingent addition pending confirmation of prior action by council.
The best thing for me to do is say what he said. Thank you, Mike. I appreciate it. At this point, did we have any public comment?
No, we don't.
No public comment. Okay. Let's move to the consent agenda to dispense with the reading of the minutes from February 8, 2021 council meeting with disbursements from the general fund of $189,631.74 for the month of February. The financial report will be filed for audit. And whoever makes the motion, please remember to ask that the minutes be modified to show the exact time Mike Kelly entered the February meeting. Would anybody care to make that motion? Carl Jacobson needs the motion.
So moved.
Second.
Who made the motion?
Councilman Connington.
Thank you, Jeff. Okay. Any questions, comments, discussion from council? In that case, all those in favor say aye.
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 Anybody opposed? That motion carries. Thank you. We have no special items, so let's move to council committee reports. Mayor Walsh, the mayor's report.
I just have one thing to report. I spoke to a gentleman named Kevin Spearing this week, and he is the supervisor for Aqua for the road work. I had run into him before. He tracked me down to see if I could find a contact for a homeowner, so I had his contact information. And we were talking about something else as well. And he said to me, so what's this letter that you wrote to PennDOT about? And I said, well, we had to write a letter because we got so many complaints about the roadway that, you know, we had to take some kind of action. He said, well, that timing was perfect because I guess as soon as he got that letter, he gave me a call and I met with him out there at the roadway. And he said, so PennDOT's well aware of what's going on there. Now, one of the things that he said that he pointed out with PennDOT is that spot near the creek side and the bridge, he said the biggest problem he had there was that when we started digging, the road just started to crumble. He said, so we really ran into a spot that was already a mess when we started to dig that. So he said he is working with PennDOT, and he also expressed an interest in helping to get PennDOT and to help find some funding to repave that whole road. So I just wanted to report that because I know there's been a lot of chatter about this on Facebook and in the community, etc. We are doing something, and what we did do up to this point has worked and has reached the people that it needs to reach. There are going to be further letters. The CNBBA is going to send a letter to them as well. And so they're well aware of this situation, and it's going to need even more pressure to get them to really repave the whole road and fix that. But they're well aware of it, and I think they're working on it. And it's interesting, the guy from Aqua, Mr. Spearing, he's a supervisor in another township. So he really kind of knows what we're going through here and the ins and outs. I forget what township he's in. But he was more than helpful in trying to get this done. So that's all I have to report. If anybody has any questions, happy to answer them if I can.
Anything to report on Central Bucks Regional Police Commission, Mayor Wallace? Oh, wait.
I have a question.
Yes.
So is PennDOT saying they have no money for, are they still claiming they're poverty stricken for maintaining potholes, I mean, not just Butler, but other areas. Meanwhile, they had money to start a whole new project on County Line. I just found that disturbing, to say the least. That's just, I mean, and I really wish the public would join in and, like Brian did, keep putting pressure on PennDOT to get this going, because it's not just a luxury to have a nice road. It's safety. Someone's going to have an accident from these potholes on these roads.
Well, I don't know the direct answer to that as far as the funding goes, but that County Line Road project has been budgeted for years. 5-7 years they've been working on that, getting the easements and all that. So that's already been in the works. But I don't know the answer to whether they've run out of money to fix potholes.
I can speak to that a little bit. I was going to talk about it during my report, but basically, PennDOT, they did make an official response to the letter that was sent, which Brian and John had signed. It was Robert Graham's. He came back and said basically they are having serious funding issues this year, and they're not sure they're going to be able to do all the paving projects that they've already committed for this year. But they are looking into what can be done. They did agree to do every week drive through there and do pothole repair. And, you know, in the interim, until Aqua does their paving, after that, they have put the other half of Butler, not the half that Aqua will pave this year. They've put the other half of Butler, or the other portion that doesn't get paved, on the list for next year. But that doesn't give us any guarantees, but it's on the list for 2022. At the end of 2022, the whole road should be paved, but that's where we're at right now. They are aware of the issue, and I think it has helped. The letter we sent and the public calling in, it can't hurt. The more that it's brought up as an issue, the better off we are, I think. PennDOT is going to attend all of the pre-construction meetings, not just with a field person, that they're actually going to send out the head of District 6 to be part of this Aqua project until it's complete, because they realize that the roadway is in bad shape, besides just Aqua's work. So they're going to see what can be included in the project when Aqua's doing their restoration.
And just to be clear, it's not a Chalfont road, it's a county road. And the best we can do is just keep advocating. If there's any public happens to be watching, not just sitting back on Facebook and complaining, it's pressure on PennDOT to actually do the work.
Yes, it is a state road, and the complaints are, they're better if they go straight to PennDOT from the residents and, the motoring public. Chalfont is within Chalfont Borough limits, but it's not legal. It's not Chalfont's roadway. So those complaints are better off to go direct to PennDOT.
And Sean, if I may, you and I have talked about the bridge by the creekside. Has PennDOT mentioned anything about that bridge as one of their issues with repaving the road and finding what's not there on that bridge?
They have not mentioned it. I did bring it up a few times in conversation with a couple people with PennDOT, and I haven't heard back from anybody. I've asked when that bridge is going to be repaved because of the condition that it's in.
Well, I think if they touch any portion of the road, they're going to have to redo that bridge. I think that's another problem.
There are large chunks missing underneath that bridge. And we brought this up. This is several years that we mentioned it. So I'm sure it didn't get any better.
About 10 years ago, they did do steel repairs underneath of the bridge, it's supposed to be a temporary repair, which I think it's been at least 10 years since they did that. They added a lot of steel to the bottom of the bridge.
Well, they need to start pumping concrete under it.
Don't stand underneath it. I go fishing there sometimes, and I wouldn't stand underneath it.
A piece of equipment going across there from Aqua is going to go through it.
That'd be a self-correcting problem, Mr. Coddington.
Wishful thinking on my part, as long as there's nobody in the vehicle.
Yeah, and if it gets repaired, but that is the progress report and the update both from the mayor and our manager. And I think, Mayor Wallace, anything on the Central Bucks Regional Police Commission?
Just a couple of things. We did give the chief a raise this year. It was a budgeted raise. We felt he was certainly worthy of that raise. We also did give some bonuses to some of the other staff in the Regional Police Commission, notably Denise Spence, who did a fantastic job getting us a grant for the victims assistance program, as well as Ms. Sprinker, who was our financial advisor, who did a lot of work for us when we were negotiating for the police department. So we did do those two things. I apologize, Jeff, you asked me to do this. I forgot to ask the chief about what happens when somebody gets pulled over for marijuana by the state police. So I'll take that up at my next conversation with him.
Well, yeah, Brian, you and I need to talk, because I've talked to several judges in Weintraub's office. I got a slew of questions for you. So it doesn't end with just that.
Yeah.
So I'll get together with you on that.
Sure. And just to make sure everybody understands, it's really the question of lessening fines for medical marijuana or for marijuana is really in the infancy stages. Doylestown Borough brought it up as a study to see if they wanted to do that. They haven't gotten very far with that yet. So it really, I just want to let everybody know that these are all discussions right now. And I'm not sure they're going to get traction. They might get some traction in the future, but right now it's just a lot of talk. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mayor Wallace. Public Works Committee, Mrs. Jacobson.
Yes, the report is in the packet, and the 5K, if you'd like to participate in the Bucks 5K series, the registration has opened. Chalfont Challenge is a virtual race this year. So far, we have 21 people that have signed up. So there will be information coming in the newsletter that Dawn is working on. So that's really all I have at this time.
Thank you. Any questions from anyone? Marilyn? Seeing none, Mr. Coddington, Facilities Committee?
Nothing to report this month.
Utilities, Mr. Meyerson?
Due to COVID, nothing to report this month.
There is no Finance Committee report. Gia, do you have anything you wish to add to the meeting?
No, not really.
Thank you for being here. The junior borough council position is certainly a challenge in COVID, and I, for one, very much appreciate your effort and your diligence to the process. So thank you for that. Sean Curran, manager's report.
Yeah, Dan, last month we talked about the Bucks County Planning Commission, the hazard mitigation planning meeting that was coming up. Dan Jenkins and I, the emergency management coordinator, we both attended that. It was on, it was a Zoom call, and it went pretty well. It's a pretty standard meeting. Dan has filled out the paperwork for it before, and he'll be doing that again. It's just updating. It's a standard meeting, but it was mentioned at last month's council meeting, so I thought I'd mention that we both attended it. And Dan will be filling out all the paperwork he usually does and submitting it to the Planning Commission.
Very good. Anything else you want to tell us tonight?
That's it.
Okay, I will note that the engineer's report is in the packet and Mike McGinnis, anything to add to your report in the packet?
I have nothing additional to add. Thank you.
I had a question for Sean.
Yes.
Sean, two questions for tonight. One, have you looked into what, if anything, is in it for Chalfont Borough with the upcoming, if the COVID relief package goes through this week? Are you see anything on the horizon for us? And are you actually looking into it? First question.
As far as,
Well, will Chalfont benefit in any way other than its residents benefiting for the COVID relief package? Because I know there's stuff for states in it. Is there anything going to smaller municipalities that you've seen?
not that I've seen, but I do believe some, grant funding may trickle through, but I mean, we'd have to apply for that, but I'm not aware of anything directly as of yet, no.
Okay, second question was the garage fire we had a week or two ago. My question, because I drove by it, and again, this has come up before. I mean, any larger cities, when you have a whole fire and demolition like that, I'd expect to see some sort of barricades go up to keep, little young children from going in there, because the back of that building is still cantilevered off, ready to fall, along with, there's lots of sharp metal there and whatnot. Does Chalfont not have any regulations on cordoning off a disaster property like that? And what can we expect from the property owner in terms of when he needs to clean it up and whatnot? Because, not for nothing, as we all know, we don't want to have it. We had the car wash that burned out for years. I don't want to see this. So what can you tell me about cleanup and safety on that property with the fire?
Well, I can tell you that the last time it was brought to my attention, their insurance company was still doing an inspection there. But other than that, I haven't gotten an update in the last at least week. I'm happy to reach out and see where we're at, and I'll let you know. I mean, I can definitely reach out to you and let you know in the next couple of days, what the process will be moving forward.
Well, in addition, we only shuttered the Blighted Properties Committee, so we didn't kill it. And that provided the impetus at the car wash. So maybe we could provide some impetus there too.
Or just guidance. Yeah.
Tracy's all ready to bring the Blighted Properties Committee back in line.
I believe the resident is looking forward to rebuilding, from what I understood.
I understand that, and I was interested in that, but I am just concerned about tonight's and tomorrow's safety for any young child that decides, hey, this looks cool, let me walk through it,
That's a legitimate question, and I will look into it here and see where we're at. And anything that we can do, we will do. If nothing else, I'll reach out to the property owner and see if we can do something to make it a little safer.
Anything else from anybody? In that case, anything?
One more thing, Sean, the resident on Holland Drive, thanks you for the new sign for the Holland Road thing. He said he almost drove off the roadway, so something happened.
You're welcome.
Captain Milligan, anything from the Central Bucks Regional Police?
Well, information's in the packet and nothing further unless there's some questions.
I don't see any. The Public Works report is in your packet as well, which brings us to the action items. Sean, did you have any? Well, let's do these first. The first action item would be to formally approve the proposal from Diversified Storage Solutions for fixture expenses for Central Bucks Regional Police Department headquarters located at North Broad and Doyle in Doylestown Borough. A suggested motion is in the packet. Would anybody care to make a motion relative to this action item? Marilyn,
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to approve the proposed cost of fixtures from Diversified Storage Solution for Central Bucks Regional Police Department's new headquarters at North Broad and Doyle Street in Doylestown Borough. The total proposed contract amount for fixtures is $246,539. Chalfont's portion of the contract is $53,301.33.
is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Mark Glidden seconded. I would like to just make one comment. The total price you see of $246,000 plus $246,539 is for the entire project, including Doylestown Borough Hall, which is why our portion seems to be a smaller proportion than you might expect, just as a point of clarity. Anybody have any questions, comments, or discussion about this motion?
Yes, Mr. President, I thought it would actually be, our percentage would actually be lower. As the 50% of that should be for Doylestown Borough. And then what is left of the 50%, we should be paying our portion, which is lower than Doylestown's as well.
These are considered to be capital. These are capital expenditures which are divided evenly between the 3 member boroughs of the regional police department.
So how do we get down to 20% from 246?
It is basically a coincidence that the math works that way. I'd have to look at the full proposal again, but we are paying 1/3 as the way the police building expenses are done is the 3 boroughs participate equally, or 1/3 of all expenses to the police building. We have roughly 20% of operating expense. The math is coincidental, quite frankly, and what this amounts to is back in the envelope about 160,000. 3 times, 15, about 160,000 back of an envelope estimate is the total expense to the regional police, of which we are paying 1/3 for the storage solutions. And you'll see that the next action item will concern other parts of the building. But I looked at the full proposal and the split of the expenses, and this is our 1/3 of the total for this part of the project.
Okay. Well, as long as the total's 160, that works out to be exactly 33%.
Right.
Yeah, it's not exactly half of that 246. Goes to the borough, goes to the regional.
Well, why doesn't it? I guess that's my question. Why utilizing the same resources?
I can answer that.
Marilyn's on the building committee. Let's let her speak.
So in order to save the most money, we're bidding this together with the Doylestown Borough portion. So that's why we're approving the entire contract. So part of this is the Doylestown Borough part, which they have a different needs and fixtures that they're getting for their part. They're also, so the portion that belongs to the police is the $160,000. But you don't see that number here because of the way that we have to bid it out. If we put it all together, it saves money. Isn't that correct, Sean? Is that?
Yes, it's just purchasing in scale, basically, and the contract had to be written up as one contract. But I mean, it clearly spells out, if you look through it in the packet, I mean, you can see that certain, well, between the furniture and the fixtures, both of the contracts, you can see, there's a break where the borough hall's first in both of them, and then it goes to the items for the for the police station. And the reason that these two items are a little different as far as how they're broken out also is because these include like gun cabinets, where the Borough Hall has no gun cabinets, and filing systems for the evidence room, and different things like that, where it's not created equal across both sides. We're not paying a solid square footage price like we are with a lot of the building items and the roof and, you know, finishes.
Understood.
And you know, the original bids came in a lot higher, and the chief went through meticulously through pretty much every item to see what he could cut. So they reduced that number substantially. So it came down a lot, and I would imagine that he felt he's a little short on things, but he definitely cut a lot of things out of there just to try to keep.
They needed to. They forgot furniture.
Yeah, and what they found also is that some of the furniture they wanted to move, they just wasn't any good. They just couldn't reuse it. You know, it wasn't worth keeping it. So they did look over it with a fine-tooth comb and reduce it as well as they could.
All right. You gotta look at those things before you make moves. That's all.
Yeah, and assuming the first and second action item are approved, you will see that Chalfont's portion of the fit out of furniture and storage stuff, filing cabinets, this kind of stuff, is actually under budget in the total, which is, I mean, it's less is better. Lesser is more better. Forgive my English. But this number was starting out well above, almost double what it is now. So it has been parsed and examined, and in total, the chief and the police side of the building has found a large amount of economy that is helping us out relative to our budgeting. But anyway, back to action item number one.
Yeah, that's great, but that's their job, John. That should have been done. Right.
You're going to say it should have been done up front, and I'm going to agree with you. There is no doubt about that in my mind. There are many explanations, but explanations after the fact to me are excuses, and I'm not even going to bother to repeat them. My opinion on this will be, we are where we are, and fortunately, Chief Knott has done a fantastic job of curtailing expenses and economizing where it's possible, but maintaining what we need for the police department to be proper.
I think everybody's done a commendable job recovering from the error. That's my comment in that regard.
I would not argue with your comment, sir. I would not argue with your comment. I would support that. Anything else on discussion on the motion for action item number one? I see none. Let's do a roll call vote just because it's a large expenditure of money. Don, is it easier for me to call the names or for you to call the names? What works best for you? If you unmute, turn on your microphone.
Sorry. I'll call the names. I have a list right here.
Thank you.
Sure. Tracy Bowen,
Yes.
Jeff Coddington,
Yes.
John Engel,
Yes.
Mark Glidden,
Yes.
Marilyn,
Yes.
Mike Kelly,
Yes.
and Mitch Meyerson.
Yes.
Thank you all. That motion carries unanimously, which brings us to action item number 2, relative to the furniture expenses for the Central Bucks Regional Police Commission. Would anybody care to make a motion as listed in the contract? No, I'm sorry, in the action items on the agenda. Marilyn.
So moved.
Do we need?
Second, Mitch.
It's done.
May I say, for the sake of those on YouTube or in the future who don't have the packet in front of them, the motion made is to approve the proposed cost of furniture from Corbett Incorporated for Central Buck Regional Police Department's new headquarters at North Broad and Doyle Streets in Doylestown Borough. The total proposed contract amount for fixtures is $419,011.20, which Chalfont's portion of the contract is $64,546.90. Is that the motion you made, Marilyn?
Actually, I think Tracy made the motion.
It was me.
Tracy
Sorry.
did. Okay.
Tracy. Yes,
I'm
yes,
sorry.
it was. Yes.
And who was the second?
I think Mitch.
I was
You were-
Mitch.
Okay, great. Thank you. So we have that motion on the floor. Any questions, comment, or discussion from council? I see none. I may have been remiss, but I see no public live on the meeting. They should have submitted comments prior to this. So I'm going to say we have no public comment because there was no public comment submitted prior to the meeting per our requirements on the Zoom meetings or on the GoToMeetings, the virtual meetings. So again, with no discussion, would you call the roll, please? If you would,
Tracy?
Dawn.
Tracy?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
John?
Yes. Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Marilyn?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
And Mitch?
Yes.
That motion also carries unanimously. Action item number 3 is to ratify the snow emergency declared in Chalfont Borough on February 18th, 2021. Would anybody care to make that motion?
So moved.
Marilyn,
I think Marilyn won. Who would like to second Marilyn's motion?
I'll second it, Mitch.
Okay, Mitch, thank you. Questions, comments, discussion from council? And again, I will note there was no public comment submitted on this action item. In that case, this can be done. That's not a resolution, is it, Sean? It's not a resolution. In that case, all those in favor say aye,
aye.
Aye.
and those opposed. That motion carries unanimously. And before we move to old business, Sean, did you find out anything from the zoning hearing board?
Yes, I think there was just a little confusion. Just Kevin didn't see his name on the minutes when we were reappointing people whose term had ended. Kevin's term was not ending, so that's the only reason his name wasn't on there. So we're good. No action is needed.
Okay. Given that there was some confusion on his part, would you get back in touch with him and let him know he's still on the zoning hearing board?
I actually talked to him. I just got off the phone with him when my camera was off for a minute.
Okay. Well, in that case, don't do anything more. Thank you, sir. Does anyone have any old business? I know of none. I see none. Any new business?
Mr. President, I have one thing. On April 10th, Saturday, there will be a clothing drive to help sponsor LV Baseball over at Tower Hill at the Sparkley Winkleman Field. That will be from noon to 3. There'll be a large truck there. Well, kids will be there all day. In fact, baseball will already be playing by then. So we'll be there all morning and most of the afternoon to pick up any used clothing. There's information that'll be available on the Borough website as well as the LV Baseball Facebook page. I know Sean and Dawn were very nice to allow us a little bit of area in the upcoming lamplighter newsletter. So we'll have a little bit of an advertisement there. So if you're doing some spring cleaning and have lots of clothes to donate, April 10th, anytime during the day. Like I said, the truck will be there from noon to 3. We would appreciate any donations that you may have.
Very good. Mike, may I suggest if you can You might want to publicize that in the Doylestown patch for surrounding communities.
That's a good idea as well. We'll look into that. Thanks.
It's for a good cause. Any other new business? I see none. Correspondence. We have in our packet a report from the Bucks County Planning Commission on the future of Bucks County's fire services, emergency services, etc. It's a long, very comprehensive report. I just want to note it's there. I have taken the liberty of asking our manager, Sean, to coordinate a bit with the fire company as well as with his peers in the local area, because you have to remember that our fire company is not just simply within Chalfont's borders. So it's my belief it's too early to go into detail on this. I know Sean has a meeting, a virtual meeting to attend from the county commissioners on this subject, and I'm expecting an update at our next monthly meeting because nothing is going to happen in an official nature before then. I feel very comfortable saying I guarantee that is not going to happen at this point. So that is our correspondence.
John?
Yes, Mitch.
Just want a comment on this point, though, because I spoke to Sean earlier in the day, and one of the things, like your point is, it's not just Chalfont Fire Department, but all the other, we just had a fire, that garage fire a couple of weeks ago, and we had several departments come as mutual aid. So we're affected by these other departments in terms of relying on their ability to give us mutual aid. So, and this is the second report in, I don't know, the past 20 years on this, as noted in the thing, because I remember this came up many years ago, and now we're at it again. I'm putting it out there that I suggest that it be considered that this issue be put into someone's committee so we could just start working on it now. There's no action to be taken now, obviously, but put it into a committee so things and ideas can start getting formulated and to see where we're at regional, because that report is a little more, it's not very specific to Chalfont. And I'd like to know more about what's going on in this region specifically. So my suggestion is consider going into someone's committee or making a new committee for it. That's all.
I hear what you're saying, and I don't disagree. I do believe it's premature to really start down that road, and that's why I've asked Sean to gather what information he can. This is more akin to regionalization, but it is not by municipal boundaries. And based on my experience with the Central Bucks EMS service, which is different because this report is talking about possible paid people, but they do not get paid by insurance companies the way the ambulance does. This is such a complex thing. I'm afraid while it's good to get ahead of things, I'm afraid we'd be getting in before the infancy on this one, and would suggest let's wait and see where it really belongs based on what we're hearing and where it goes. The first milepost I see would be the commissioners meeting and their take on this report on this coming Wednesday, 2 days hence, and then conversations, especially with, and I may be missing somebody for which I will apologize, but we have to consider where our fire company serves regularly, because that is actually determined by the call box system, the county emergency dispatch service or the county emergency services. So this is an extremely complex question. And before it goes to a committee here for specific research, I think we have to get a better feel. Personally, I think we have to get a better feel for what's happening. So I don't disagree with the idea of going to a committee, but I don't, which committee, and should it be a different, a special committee, an ad hoc committee on the subject, but it's really too soon, in my opinion, to do anything. So I don't disagree with what you say, but I don't think this is the time to do it. And that's, my opinion, is one of seven, not a direction, because I don't have the ability to give the direction in that way. Anything further? Very good.
Oh, yeah, I forgot to mention earlier is, in a couple of months, there's a good possibility that all of us will be vaccinated, and consideration to meet in person again will be coming up soon. So something on the horizon.
So noted. Do we have any public comment that came in during the meeting? No.
No.
In that case, I will move to announcements. The Central Bucks Regional Police Commission Finance Committee may be meeting on Thursday, March 18th at 6 p.m. It'll be a remote meeting. And actually, all these meetings are virtual or remote meetings that I'm announcing. The Chalfont Borough Planning Commission, Monday, March 22nd at 7 p.m. The Central Bucks Regional Police Commission, Thursday, March 25th at 7 p.m. The Chalfont Borough Harb, Monday, April 5th. And the next Chalfont Borough Council meeting will be held on April 12th, April 12th at 7 p.m. And unless anybody has any further business, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion is made, and I'm assuming, is there a second?
Second.
Second.
With no objection, I've been watching the Senate hearings. With no objection, we are adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Have a good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Night.
Good night. Thank you.